As an oppressed community, we are going on 500 plus years of being systematically targeted, used for our IP talent, and also still being killed by the very people that are supposed to protect and serve us. We have had enough. We are combating the issues that matter most. We will not accept the racial injustices that continue to be ignored in our communities. We will not be kept in the dark when it comes to our health and well-being. And we will not ignore the financial motivations and expectations that have prevented us historically from making sound decisions. Meanwhile, Adam Silver, the commissioner, and Damian Lillard addressed the growing concerns about the restart when I spoke with them last night.
I can only say it may not be for everyone. I mean, it will entail enormous sacrifice on behalf of those players and for everyone involved, the coaches, the referees. Listen, it's not an ideal situation. We're trying to find a way to our own normal in the middle of a pandemic and now with enormous social unrest in the country. And so as we work through these issues, I can understand how some players may feel that it's not for them. If a player chooses not to come, it's not a breach of his contract. We accept that.
I think two things. I think, first of all, with the pandemic that we've been in over, the course of a few months, I think basketball would have been great for that, or will be great for that, because it'll be us getting back to somewhat normalcy, of having our athletes on TV playing, doing what we do. But I think as far as the racial injustice, I think that's where a lot of the struggle is for a lot of athletes. And a lot of our hearts are with our people. Our minds is with our people. And we feel like we should be a part of that. We should be a part of that fight. But I think a lot of guys in the league have a point. I think Kyrie and Dwight have a point. So I understand it all.
So that was part of our conversations of last night. And Jay Will is with us this morning, and our NBA reporter Malika Andrews as well. And Malika, you and Woj were reporting this news last night. What more can you tell us about this coalition?
Yeah, Greenie. So like you touched on, this group was formed, which includes not only Kyrie Irving and Avery Bradley, but also other NBA players and WNBA players. It was formed with the mission of continuing to evaluate the league's return to play plan, and also to get some questions that they feel have been left unanswered surrounding coronavirus and the racial unrest that's going on in this country addressed. And they said that they feel a responsibility to speak up on behalf of other players that they say feel similarly to them, share similar sentiments and concerns, but fear some sort of retaliation from owners or the league or their specific teams if they were to be the ones to say something. And specifically, one of the things that they addressed is that they are looking to talk to the league about some sort of financial commitment in terms of helping these oppressed people that they are talking about. And specifically, in that statement that you read part of, they talked about how important it is to, quote, unify, to come together in unity and to be able to move forward, because the way that they described this point in history, this is Kyrie Irving and Avery Bradley on behalf of the larger coalition, is they called it an inflection point, and it's important for them to be in lockstep moving forward in order to create that change that they're looking for.
Yeah, I thought it was important when Michelle Roberts, the head of the Players Association, the other day said the players are talking. They're not fighting with each other. They're just talking about these issues. She was very careful to make that distinction, which I understood. So, Jay Williams, here we are. We talked about this yesterday. It feels as though it has taken a step forward. What are your thoughts this morning?
Well, thank you for passing me to Mike Greenberg, because I'm pretty passionate about this. And I think this is a really important inflection point, not only for us having this conversation on the platform that we are, but for our country here. The coalition statement was accurate. It was accurate. It was correct. And they have a right to due process. And I think it's very important in an age of extremism that people don't jump on airways and they don't yell out certain, crazy atrocities, really trying to victimize guys or try to call guys names for having the right to have due process in this whole situation. Both sides of the coin here have valid points. Okay, I happen to be on the side that it sees benefits in playing, but I also see the validity of what Avery Bradley and Kyrie are talking about and the coalition statements here. I think it's very important for us to have constructive conversations about which direction in which we're going here. And as we're moving forward in this whole situation, I think it's also important for players to understand what are the financial repercussions of moving forward. And the coalition is correct here, okay? It's not just social injustice that we're dealing with. We're also dealing with a pandemic. And Adam Silver was very reasonable and practical on air last night talking to you about, hey, look, the NBA PA has signed an agreement stating that 22 teams will be allowed to play. This will not be right for everybody, but there still is right to have a due process and for players to understand that, hey, the pandemic on top of social injustice, they're going to have a lot of financial issues if we don't have a season this year, for not just next year, for years to come, which I said will also enable a lot of African-American males to earn a lot of money to deploy back resources into their community. But to have a forum here, to have constructive conversation, I think is imperative. And we don't need people jumping on the airways, yelling, screaming, saying, hey, like, you know, they're wrong, we're right. Like, let's talk it through. And there's a responsibility here that we have. And I just want to make sure that we all understand that, because we are deploying these types of talks into the field of people. And it's really important, Greenie. It's really important to talk about this constructively.
I understand exactly what you're saying. Malika, I think we'll leave it here for the moment. From what you're hearing, is there any question that the resumption of the NBA season, which we still do expect to take place, will be missing a lot of players?
You know, like Adam Silver said yesterday, it isn't for everyone. And there is a very strong possibility, Greenie, that, yeah, it will be missing some players. I wouldn't necessarily say that is going to be a lot. But like you said, like Michelle Roberts said, this is something players are unified in what they do want. They want to continue to fight for racial equality here, and they want to be safe in doing that amid the coronavirus pandemic. Where there is a little bit of a discussion here is how the best way it would be to do that. What that is. What is the best way to do that? Is it to play or not to play? And there are players on both sides of that argument.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.